You already know the 4 words in this video: saving, speculating, trading, investing. You've heard them hundreds of times. But here's the thing. Most people who use them daily are using the wrong one to describe what they're actually doing. And that one wrong word is quietly costing them years of financial progress. Your colleague who calls his crypto portfolio an investment. Your friend who thinks she's investing by moving money in and out of stocks every week. The savings account you feel responsible for keeping that's silently losing value every year. All of them, you possibly included, are doing one thing and calling it another. This isn't a vocabulary problem. When you misname what you're doing with money, you misjudge the risk, you misread the outcome, and you make the wrong next move. This video gives you the exact definition of each, not textbook definitions, the working ones. The kind that changes what you do on Monday morning. 15 minutes. No fluff. Every section has a number you can verify yourself. Stay with it. The part about investing at the end contains a calculation that most financial content deliberately buries, because once you see it, you stop needing complicated products. 4 people. $10,000 each. 1 saves it in a regular bank account. 1 buys a trending cryptocurrency. 1 day trades stocks. 1 puts it in a simple index fund and leaves it for 20 years. Here's where they end up. The saver still has $10,000 on paper, but inflation has been quietly running at around 2 to 3% per year. 20 years later, that money buys only what roughly $6,000 used to buy. She lost nearly $4,000 of purchasing power without a single dollar leaving her account. The loss was invisible. That's what makes it dangerous. The crypto buyer lost most of it within months when the coin crashed. No warning, no recovery. The day trader made money in the first few weeks, which is actually the worst thing that can happen to a new trader, for reasons we'll get to. Then lost it all. Then a little more. The index fund person, $10,000, became approximately $67,000. She didn't pick stocks, didn't watch charts, didn't log in more than a few times a year. 4 people. 1 starting number. Completely different financial lives 20 years later. The difference wasn't intelligence, income, or timing. It was knowing which of these 4 things they were actually doing, and why. When you put money in a savings account, here's what actually happens. Your bank takes that money, lends it out to other customers at 7, 8, 10% interest. Mortgages, business loans, personal loans, and pays you back a fraction of what it earns from using your money. The national average savings account rate in the US right now is 0.46% per year. $10,000 earns $46 annually. Your bank is making hundreds of dollars per year off that same $10,000. You're getting $46. That is not a partnership. That is an extremely favorable arrangement for the bank. Now compare high-yield savings accounts, mostly online banks, currently pay between 4.5% to 5%. Same FDIC insurance protection, same instant access, same zero risk, just a different account. At 5%, that $10,000 earns $500 a year. That's $454 more per year for doing nothing except choosing a different account. Over 5 years, the gap between the 2 accounts is roughly $2,500. One rule to remember: if your savings account rate is below the current inflation rate, your money is shrinking in real terms every single year, even though the number in the account looks the same. Saving isn't bad. Saving in the wrong account is. 1-sentence definition. Speculation is buying something with the expectation that someone else will pay more for it later. Not because it produces income or has a measurable value, but purely because demand might push the price higher. That's the entire mechanism. No earnings, no rent, no dividends, just the next buyer. Now here's the angle nobody says clearly. In speculative markets, the people who got in early need people who get in late to buy from them at a higher price. That's how they profit. Which means if you're discovering a speculative asset after it's already gone up significantly, you are not the opportunity. You are the exit. GameStop, January 2021. From $20 to nearly $500 in days. The people who made fortunes were already in. The people who saw it trending and bought at $400, they were buying from those people. Then it crashed back within weeks. Dogecoin 2021, a coin created as a joke, rose 12,000%, then lost more than 90% of its value. Tulip bulbs in 1637, Netherlands followed an identical pattern of 400 years earlier. Same psychology. Same math. Same ending. The reason this keeps happening isn't stupidity. Psychologists Kahneman and Tversky identified it as the availability heuristic. Your brain overweights the vivid story of the person who won and never sees the far larger number who lost quietly. If you choose to speculate, limit it to 5 to 10% of investable money, an amount that going to zero changes nothing in your life. That boundary is the only thing that keeps speculation from becoming a disaster. Trading is buying and selling financial assets, stocks, currencies, options, frequently to profit from short-term price movement. Where investors hold for years, traders hold for hours, days, or weeks, then exit. The brokerage app on your phone made this look like an equal playing field. It isn't. Here's what you're actually competing against when you open a day trading position. On the other side of your trade, there are institutional desks with teams of quantitative analysts, algorithms executing thousands of trades per second, proprietary data feeds that see order flow before it hits the public market, and traders who've spent years doing nothing but this. You have a phone, a YouTube tutorial, and a few $1,000s. Day trading, swing trading, scalping, options. These are all legitimate forms of trading. They all require the same thing: an edge that consistently outperforms your transaction costs and the expertise of everyone else in the market. For most people with a day job and a retail account, that edge doesn't exist. Not because they're not intelligent, but because they haven't built the specific tools and experience required. The early winners are especially dangerous. Making money in your first weeks of trading is one of the worst outcomes, because it creates a false confidence that the market quickly corrects at a cost that more than erases those early gains. Researchers Brad Barber, Yitsung Lee, Eugene Liu, and Terence O'Dean from UC Berkeley and other institutions studied every day trader in Taiwan's market over 15 years, one of the largest trading studies ever conducted. Result: 97% of day traders who persisted longer than 300 days lost money. Not most of them, 97%. The European Securities and Markets Authority legally requires brokers to disclose what percentage of their retail clients lose money trading derivatives. The numbers they publish, between 74% and 89%, depending on the broker. You can look this up on any European broker's website right now. So what does the 3% do differently? Two things. First, they cut losses mechanically. A preset rule, not a feeling. They don't wait to see if it comes back. They exit. Second, they let winners run. A trader who risks $1 to potentially earn $3 can be wrong more than half the time and still profit overall. That ratio, not prediction accuracy, is what separates the sustainable traders. The psychological discipline required to hold that system under pressure, while a position is moving against you, while you feel certain it will recover, is not natural to most people. It takes years to build, and most people never test it with real money until they've already lost a meaningful amount learning. Trading works for some, but it is a profession, not a part-time income stream. Approach it like one, or don't approach it at all. Investing is putting money into something with a mechanism that generates value on its own. Earnings, rent, interest. Not because you're counting on the next buyer to pay more. That mechanism is everything. It's what separates investing from the other three categories. When you own a stock, you own a piece of a business that sells products or services, generates revenue, and produces profit. When you own real estate, the property earns rent. When you hold a bond, you earn interest. The asset is working. Value is being produced. You don't need a buyer at a higher price to make money. Here's the part the financial industry would rather you not notice. The most effective investing strategy for most people is also the most boring one. A simple index fund. A fund that automatically holds hundreds or thousands of companies, tracking a broad market index like the S&P 500. You don't pick stocks. You don't time the market. You don't need an advisor. The S&P 500 has returned approximately 10% annually on average over the past several decades. Notice what generates all the fees, all the commissions, all the complexity in financial services. Not index funds. Active management. Frequent trading. Complicated products. The products that make the industry the most money are not, as a rule, the ones that make you the most money. The boring strategy wins. That's not an opinion. That's what the data consistently shows. Two people, same salary, same discipline, same index fund earning 10% annually, the long-term historical S&P 500 average. Person A starts at 25, puts in $200 a month until they're 65. 40 years. Total contributed from their own pocket, $96,000. Account balance at 65, approximately $1,062,000. Over $966,000 in growth they never worked for. Time worked for it. Person B waits 10 years, starts at 35, same $200 a month, same 10%. 30 years instead of 40. Total contributed $72,000, only $24,000 less than person A. Account balance at 65, approximately $395,000. Person B contributed $24,000 less, but ends up with $667,000 less. One number. 10 years of delay, $667,000. This is compound interest. Earning returns on your returns, compounding annually over decades. The longer it runs, the faster it accelerates. The pile grows on itself. This is also why the financial industry sometimes obscures this calculation. If you understand it fully, you realize you don't need anything complicated. You need time and consistency. Neither of those requires a financial product. You can verify these exact numbers yourself using the SEC's own compound interest calculator. Link in the references below. Now you know all four. Which category does your money currently live in? Saving. The goal is to protect money and keep it instantly accessible. The risk is near zero on paper, but your purchasing power shrinks every year your rate sits below inflation. Returns range from around 0.46% in a standard account to over 5% in a high-yield account. The right timeline is anything under 3 years. No skill required. Use it for your emergency fund and short-term goals. Speculating. The goal is a large, fast gain, betting that the next buyer pays more than you did. The risk is that you can lose everything, with no floor. Returns are completely unpredictable. Could be massive, could be zero. Timeline is days to months. Luck is the primary variable, not skill. Only use money here that losing entirely would not change your life. A maximum of 5 to 10% of what you invest. Trading. The goal is repeated profit from short-term price movements. The risk is high. Between 74 and 97% of retail traders lose money, according to peer-reviewed academic research and regulatory disclosures. Returns can be high in theory, but are statistically unlikely for most retail participants. Timeline is seconds to weeks. Skill requirement is very high. This demands full-time commitment, years of experience, and strict systems. Best suited for dedicated professionals with a tested edge. Investing. The goal is long-term wealth through assets that generate real value. Earnings, rent, interest. The risk is medium. Markets fluctuate, but have trended upward over every significant historical period. Returns average 7 to 10% annually in diversified index funds based on long-term historical data. Timeline is a minimum of 5 years, ideally 10 to 30. Skill needed is low. Consistency is the only variable that truly matters, suitable for almost everyone, with a time horizon longer than 3 years. One of those 4 requires the least skill, has the strongest historical backing, and is available to anyone starting today. That one was always the point of this video. Here's what to do before this video leaves your screen. 90 seconds. Open your bank app. Find your savings account. Look at the interest rate. Then search current U.S. inflation rate. Compare the two numbers. If your savings rate is lower than inflation, and in a standard bank account, it almost certainly is, you now know exactly what to change and where to go. That's the emergency fund step. High yield savings account. 3 to 6 months of expenses. Non-negotiable foundation. After that, open a brokerage account. Find a broad index fund, S&P 500 or total market. Set an automatic monthly contribution. Any amount. The dollar figure matters less than the automation, because automation removes the decision. And removing the decision removes the emotion. And removing the emotion is where most investors go wrong. One line from Benjamin Graham, the man who trained Warren Buffett. An investment operation is one which, upon thorough analysis, promises safety of principal and an adequate return. Everything else is speculation. You now have the framework. Saving, speculating, trading, investing. Clear definitions, real numbers, exact differences. One question for the comments. Which of the 4 did you think you were doing before this video? And which one were you actually doing? The gap between those two answers is where financial progress starts. See you in the next one.